intended sound. This is where we stand. Oh, where I begin and where you end.
Colombia, 10% of the population is under 5 years old. 5 million children, half of them live in extreme poverty. Their parents work around the clock, struggling to make a living. They don't understand the value of reading to their kids, talking to them, or letting them talk. Why talk to your child? This is a culture where play is regarded as frivolous, something for children, something to put aside when you become an adult.
How can we become a peaceful, competitive country that really is a world player when half of our next generation is living like that their early childhood? When we know that during those years is where most of the brain develops, 80% of the connections in the brain develop in that age, and most of your understanding of relationships and your dreams are developed based on that. And just because you were born in a low-income community, you shouldn't be left behind.
Natalia Mesa rose to this challenge. She has shown that it is possible to deliver high-quality education to children in highly vulnerable communities. Her centers for early childhood development can be found across Colombia.
My personal motivation is freedom. I want these children to be free. I would say political, economic, social freedoms to be able to live their potential.
The early childhood centers operate in high, middle, and low-income communities. The idea is to have financial cross-subsidization. All the families receive the same service. Case studies prove that children in Natalia's centers from low-income families perform on a par with children from high-income families in their first year of school.
Primero son como muy atentas, o sea, son muy avispadas, o sea, ¿cómo decirlo? Allá le enseñan como la parte muy cognitiva.
My children seem much more attentive since attending. They want to explore, they've become curious and inquisitive, and they've made friends and worked together with other kids in the neighborhood. The beauty of the program is its inclusivity. Children, parents and teachers, regardless of where they're from, are given the space to develop through play, education and art.
What does art do? Art helps children and families and teachers understand new languages. It helps them also interpret the world in different ways, not just one way. So it makes things more complex, and I think that helps a lot on the development of the children. So the artist in the center is a partner of the teacher and the children when they're making explorations and research.
Lo que hacemos es presentar materiales que son cercanos en su lenguaje con lo que ellos están investigando.
We use found materials and materials such as clay, so the participants can try to interpret their feelings in different ways.
Lo que nos interesa en IO2 no es hacer artistas.
It's not about every kid becoming an artist, but we really believe that art helps the children to become better human beings.
Es que el arte hace mejores seres humanos.
It's not only stimulation, it's also human dignity, it's participation in a community. But most important, they learn in a very happy way the meaning of life.
Aquí tenemos la posibilidad de escuchar al niño.
Here we listen to the children and facilitate their ideas.
The
artworks come from their experiences, from what concerns them. Here's an example. A situation emerged where one of the kids destroyed a plant in the garden and the others were upset. You're hurting the plant is going to die. This conversation inspired today's activities.
It's amazing, the fact that we develop the potential of these children. This is human capital. This is our future. This is Colombia.
Here too, in Nepal, there is a lot of poverty, plus remote, difficult to access areas, and a similar approach has been used to tackle these challenges.
Love, understanding, respect, these are the values that early childhood will set the foundation in human life. Children are the strength of the nation. They are the future of the nation. If we ignore that, we are losing a lot of leadership, lot of poets, philosophers, artists, and rulers whom we need in this democratic country.
Agatha Tapa designed, developed, and implemented a variety of innovative early childhood programs. She has tailored her educational officer to the needs of the children and to the challenging nature of the country's infrastructure. Plus, she has made the program easy to replicate elsewhere. For example, toys are crafted from local materials such as leftovers of crops, beans, and bamboo. Parental inclusion, as seen in Colombia, plays a vital role in Nepal as well.
Parents need to understand how to interact with children, how to stimulate them, and how to make them active, how to help them to ask questions, and how to answer them. It affects their personality. It affects their emotions. The parents have to be aware of the importance of early childhood development. And it's not only the responsibility of the parents, it is the responsibility of the government also.
40 years of dogged determination paid off. Not only has the government adopted Agatha's early childhood programs, it actually provides them in more than 36,000 centres nationwide. She also managed to get early childhood development incorporated into the Constitution of Nepal. Article 39 states, "Every child shall have the right to elementary child development and child participation. An amazing achievement.
This is a place, you know, the place that you see at the back of me, the building, that is the place where the Constitution is made, where the parliamentarians who were once upon a time in the womb, once upon a time they were children, they are there.
When you look at the life's work of Agatha, you could say that she's actually the mother of all young children in Nepal. She kept on reminding us that we are parents as well as politicians and must not forget the importance of childhood. We too were once helpless and dependent on others, states the Honourable Mrs. Pahadi, former Minister of Peace and Reconstruction.
Every child should grow up in a safe, secure, and nurturing environment. An environment that allows the child to be themselves. And so I strongly feel that psychosocial support and mental well-being should be every child's right.
That should go without saying, but unfortunately here in sub-Saharan Africa, a lot of the children are exposed to neglect, violence, sexual abuse, child labour and extreme poverty. Many of them are infected with HIV or have been made orphans because of the disease.
When we have children who are vulnerable, we really do not want those children to grow up kind of being stuck in the I am vulnerable. We want the children to interact as much as possible and create a normal situation as the children are growing up. For instance, we don't isolate children because a child is HIV positive. We don't isolate children because a child is violent. We don't do that. We try by all means to make sure that the child grows and feels as normal as another child.
Noreen Hooney offers different programs for psychosocial support for children and families. Her programs run in 14 countries in southern and eastern Africa, but she's campaigning for even more. She cooperates with partner organisations who provide services in child centres, coaching parents and training teachers. Learning through play, with and from each other, is essential for these kids. They find it difficult to get to grips with more formal class-based learning, which can often be overcrowded and ineffective here. The children come from all types of backgrounds, many of them orphans, suffering severe poverty and neglect. Thanks to psychosocial support, caretakers and teachers are able to address the children's individual needs and to help them cope with the challenges life has thrown at them.
I should cover all those aspects. I should be a teacher, I should be a friend, I should be a father, I should be everything, so that they can ask me everything, anything, or ask for any assistance.
We really want this to be a national, to be a global discipline for psychosocial support and mental well-being, which is provided for everyone who is working with children, be them policemen, teachers, health service providers. This is what we want to see happening.
was brought up under apartheid, and I witnessed apartheid from the cruelty of it. But I think the biggest crime for me of apartheid was the destruction of the education system, which we're sitting with still today. A black person in South Africa was not allowed to learn empowerment subjects. They couldn't learn mathematics, they couldn't learn science, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. And in fact, they were coming out of the schooling system to be labourers, or to be servants, or to work in the mines, or work on the farms. There was nothing to empower them. Early child development was non-existent. And you'll get children coming into school in grade 1, 7-year-olds, and you'll put 3 or 4 colours on the boards, red, blue, green, orange, and you'll ask that child, what are the names of those colours? They won't even know that. So in South Africa, we've lost another generation because kids are going into school not school ready.
The first step is to offer solid and supportive early childhood development.
Right now, you're 4 years old. Right now, you're what? 4 years old.
But there's much more to it than that. James Erdang wants to break the cycle of poverty through education. And he has been triumphing in the face of adversity for the past 29 years. With his programs, he provides opportunities for various age groups among South Africa's most disadvantaged citizens, from early childhood to primary school level, secondary and tertiary level, and even further.
And to make things fun and exciting and to keep kids off the street, we have our marimba program.
Music, and especially in our marimba program, is so much more than just playing music. It's about life. It's about training children for life.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
They start listening more attentively, and they start listening to each other. They become empathetic, which is something that's a very real thing that we need to do.
It's amazing to come into a classroom and it's just dead quiet. There's no noise, there's no nothing. And then suddenly you just hear music.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, C. 5, 6, 7, C again, C. So you remember it was C and E, hallelujah, 2 times.
Being a deaf child, you're ostracized in the community. All you know is home, going to school, going home, going to school. That's their lives. These children don't have a life. Suddenly these marimbas have given these children something to do. Can only feel the vibration. They cannot hear what they're playing. And they are unbelievable. To me, it's one of the most emotional things that I've ever witnessed and will, I think, ever witness in my life. It's just watching these kids just having fun, just being part of a normal community.
When Isra left Syria, she had to leave behind many of her books, but she'd memorized most of the stories. She had them all stored in her head. She didn't forget anything. The other children in the camp always asked Isra to come and play with them. They said to her, "Isra, come play with the cat, come and watch cars, come and eat watermelons." But Isra preferred to stay at home and write stories. Here she is, buried under papers. She's writing. One day, Isra had an idea. She decided to write a book about everything her family missed. Her grandma Kamar misses her chicken, so Isra wrote about that. This is her grandma. Do you see her? And here's her chicken.
When a parent or a caregiver or a teacher reads aloud to the child associates reading and fun with feeling of security and happiness with a caregiver. So when they grow up, there's a subconscious association between the feeling of pleasure and reading that they will always resort to, and therefore they become lifelong readers and lifelong learners.
Not only for refugees is the love of reading essential. Rana Dayani trains youth and adults all over Jordan and beyond how to read aloud as an art and how to reach the children in their neighborhood. The volunteers don't have to be highly educated. All they need is passion and a children's book. It's their personal engagement that counts. They raise awareness among children. They enhance their self-esteem, and they teach them problem-solving skills.
So we read books to children from their everyday life, and we have realized that there is a shortage of books for children in the Arabic literature. So we have taken upon ourselves to create more children's books in Arabic along particular themes. We have created 32 children's books on gender, on disabilities, on nonviolence, on refugees, and on social inclusion, as well as about the environment.
Rana's programs have proved that through listening and learning about other people and cultures, children have increased empathy. Their ability to interpret and judge is enhanced, their curiosity stimulated, and they become more active.
So that's my inspiration and motivation, to see how the children's eyes light up when they fall in love with reading and listen to a story, and how their imagination goes wild as they think of what else they can do in this world and how they can actually take control of their future and make a difference.
A similar approach can be found in Turkey, where hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees are housed. Here, many school-aged children don't attend class for a variety of reasons. Language barriers, difficulties of social integration, but primarily because many families depend on their children's income.
We have cases in other parts of the world to see what happens. If you look at Pakistan-Afghanistan border, when you don't have good schools, when you don't give hope, then you have a problem, a generation of kids who are ready to be taken advantage of. So what they really need is hope for a better tomorrow, and that usually means education, skills, and also in many cases, especially for traumatized children, those who are escaping war, they also need some kind of a sense of normalcy, an ability to feel good about themselves and in the world they are living.
A well-resourced private school in Şanlıurfa is the base for Selçuk Syrians project, which delivers educational content through a gaming experience. Selçuk's ambitious approach has convinced a private partner.
2 yıl önce bana geldi ve
2 years ago, Selçuk came to me and said, Esem, there is no education on offer for Syrian children. A large number have never attended school either in Syria or Turkey. These children receive no education, no care, no attention, simply nothing, he said. We need to act. In safe classrooms, Syrian children learn urgently needed skills through specially designed and customized online education. They learn Turkish, how to organize themselves, and how to accomplish everyday tasks.
Because kids play video games, right? A lot of kids are even addicted to it. So my hypothesis is that if they do it, let's do it in a way that also helps them learn certain skills. So it's still a video game, and they play it anyway. Can we make it an experience that's also good for their brain development, good for their social or emotional development?
The underlying objective is to tackle the children's despair and give them a sense of hope.
If kids feel like they are in control of their emotions, they are in control of their imagination, that they move something here and something on screen moves too. Even that little sense of control makes them feel like they can have dreams for tomorrow, that they can imagine things and that could happen because they experience that through these games. The mismatch between the needs, educational, emotional needs, and the resources we have is huge. And we don't have time to wait. They are growing, right, every day. So we have to think out of the box, and this is one option. And I'm sure there are other ways to do this.
Elmas is very precious to me, like a diamond. Actually, in Turkish, elmas means diamond. My staff sent me photos of her drawings, and she is incredibly talented. I like to draw children and babies because I like the expressions they make with their eyes. With the war raging in Syria for 4 years, Elmas wasn't able to even set foot inside a classroom. I've overseen Elmas's education for 2 years at the school, and she's become fluent in Turkish. She's so talented that when she turns 18, we're looking at sending her to the US for higher education.
If a child is holding an automatic weapon here, it's prison, punition, and repression. And it doesn't work. So forget even a moral question. It's not about whether they should or shouldn't be doing that. It's about they're a child, they're an adolescent. It's our job as adults to protect them and make sure they don't get in that situation. And if that's happening, we're not doing our job.
Armed violence is the challenge among Brazil's youth. Here, more than 63,000 met violent deaths in just 1 year. Ex-boxing champion Luke Downey has developed a program to fight for peace.
I honestly believe it's a lot stronger for a young person in an environment like this to not get involved in a gang, to not get involved in drug trafficking, and not get involved in violence, than it is to get involved. And however, the way that that's perceived by society and by culture is often that the tough guys are the ones with the guns, the tough guys are the ones in the gangs.
It might sound like a fairy tale about a guy who is saved while his friends get killed. But for me, that's the truth. A lot of my friends have been killed. And if it wasn't for Luke, who came here from England to start this project, I really don't know where I would be today. In the heart of the Complexo de Maré, one of the most violent communities in Rio de Janeiro, Luke wants to prove that, given the right support, children and young people are developing that mental strength and making the decision not to get involved in gun crime and violence.
But our focus is about helping young people into positive, productive lives because they're coming out of environments where they're not being given a chance, there's no investment for them, and often violence becomes the only possibility, or gangs or crime becomes the only possibility that they can have or they can see to advance themselves.
Martial arts and combat sports are a way to build up discipline and self-esteem, and they can help overcome personal obstacles. Combined with skills and vocational training and leadership programs, Luke's approach is quite unique. In addition to boxing, the kids attend classes in personal development. It's not about creating athletes. Our goal is to create citizens who fulfill their potential in life and give them a sense of civic belonging, says Roberto Custodio, who, as a kid, participated in Luke's program and who made it to the Olympics as a member of the Brazilian national team. It could be seen as a dichotomy that these young people are meant to become responsible members of society by learning fighting skills.
This isn't violence. Violence is about subjugation of one person and another against their will. This is about competition, testing yourself as much as anyone else, and it's voluntary, and there are rules, and it's an Olympic sport, and it's created some of the biggest icons we've ever seen in the 20th century. So when you start applying those rules about respecting your adversary, about knowing what you can do and what you can't do, about being disciplined and training and understanding there are consequences to your actions, again, it becomes a very strong platform for not being involved in violence, for choosing not to be involved in violence because you're strong enough.
Before, I was just hanging around on street corners doing nothing. My cousin trained here and said, "Come along. It's better than becoming a dealer or a mugger," so here I am. Slovakia, 40 years of socialism and communism have left their mark. Children's homes, formerly known as orphanages, are where kids with no support network end up, the ones who fall through the net.
The fact that they are put in institution, it may seem like they're taken care of. And in other countries, they may say, oh, but that's great because they have healthcare and education and schooling and food and a place to sleep. And in a lot of countries, children don't even have this. But what they don't have, because the way institutions are set up, is that individual love and care that all children get from their parents at home.
Without parents, these children and young people need the essential love and support of a caring adult. Lucia Kosurova and her brother Ladislav came up with the idea of providing them with just that.
A safe haven, harbor, somebody to lean on, knowing there's a phone number on the other side that will not turn us down, that will not judge us, that it's okay to say, I made a mistake, I failed.
Ladislav and Lucia have an outreach program to select stable adult mentors, vet them thoroughly, and match them with vulnerable young people in need. These mentors can't replace parents, but they can help them build healthy relationships and cope with whatever life has to throw at them. Everyone remembers an adult, a parent or role model who helped them shape their lives and transition to becoming a healthy, happy adult.
There's two things in a way Buddy gives. First is the relationship, so it's that trusting, safe bond. And that is extremely important for the target group, for the children we work with who are extremely vulnerable. And once they have that relationship and they trust the adult who's by their side, they can learn from them. They can learn basic life skills that are absolutely essential to survive when they leave the children's home. A simple skill that a number of them don't have is, say you have the 10 euros for the week and you need to buy food for a week. So they may go to a supermarket and put two things in there in the value of 10 euros, which is enough for dinner, but not for a week of food.
Many kids who grew up in institutions end up on the street or in jail simply because they never had a chance to learn everyday life skills. For example, they might spend their entire monthly salary on a new phone or a pair of trainers. They need to learn how to get to work on time and also to show up there the next day and the day after. This might be self-evident for those of us who learned all of this from childhood. My life's changed completely thanks to my mentor. I feel part of society now. I dreamt about being successful and earning a lot of money, and thanks to him, I've achieved that. But he also gave me a sense of reality. He showed me how to live in the real world. Misha is like a big brother, a close friend. The only one in this case. There's always someone I can turn to. I'm not alone. It's like having a real mother. If I hadn't met him, I'd just be a statistic about kids on the street. Perhaps I'd be a drug addict, an alcoholic. Milan showed me how to get my act together.
In Uganda, 50% of the population is under 15. The biggest thing the young people want is just a job after school, but the formal sector is very small and there aren't very many jobs, and so what young people really want is a livelihood and to be able to earn an income and to take care of themselves.
These are resources, okay?
Boris Bulayev wants nothing more and nothing less than to transform secondary education in Africa. Boris and his team partner with the governments in Uganda, Rwanda and Kenya, figuring out how to reform the outdated education system. It's about changing what schools teach and how they teach it. Children receive training in leadership and entrepreneurship so that they are able to be proactive and earn a living.
Creativity is really foundational to being able to identify the opportunities around you and the resources at your disposal. So we teach students to think of an object like a brick and what are all the different forms that it can take, what are the different products that can be made from this brick, just to get them to think outside of the box and think about all the different uses and opportunities they have from the things all around them.
If you look at our country today, these are everywhere, and we are looking at a solution to this particular problem, not only to help us in finance, but also to help the environment.
The students voluntarily attend a business club where they get hands-on guidance in starting their own business, working together with their peers. It's important that this is an environment that allows failure. They can learn to deal with real-life challenges waiting for them after school.
Dorm mats, table mats, those bedroom mats, things like that.
As many as 90% of youth are projected to work in the informal sector, meaning they'll have to create their own jobs. And so we really try to leverage and build upon the issue areas, the topic areas that students are passionate about, because we just think they're going to be a lot more motivated, they're going to be a lot more successful if they're able to build on top of that.
And the things they make are highly inventive, such as charcoal briquettes composed of clay and charcoal dust.
By using only the charcoal dust and the clay that we get from the swamps, we're trying to reduce on the rate at which the trees are being cut down, which is very dangerous to the environment.
Saving the Earth's natural resources is vital, and this innovative product provides enough heat for a stove to cook a daily meal. Recycling at its best. Shoe polish made of carbon from old batteries.
Not to wait opportunities to come to us, but to look for the opportunities. Uganda these days doesn't have jobs. We are supposed to be job creators so that we can employ other people. And not only the skilled one, but non-skilled one. There are some children we use to pick our dry cells outside there. So those students are employed so that they don't get engaged in criminal issues like stealing.
The young entrepreneurs even run their own canteen in the schoolyard, which means a full-time job for the server. The students show remarkable self-confidence and are very passionate about the change they want to see.
We believe that we're going to change the society because when we're done with making these charcoal briquettes, we sensitize also the masses, we sensitize our customers who buy these charcoal briquettes. They don't only buy them to cook their food, but we also give them that information, how important these charcoal briquettes are for the sake of saving the environment.
For us, there's a really important dynamic of a domino effect. So the business club is a really safe place to start, to try out. There are tons of students that learn the skill in the business club and then use that skill to start something on their own, use that to generate a bit of money, and then be able to expand it to different activities and businesses.
I know I will outcompete all the guys who are making shoe cream now. Sky Shine shoe cream. The way we branded our shoe cream can make people, everyone, to be interested just to buy and see the way their shoes are going to shine.
It's not just Uganda where the youth unemployment rate is frighteningly high. In South Africa, almost every second adolescent has no job.
And what many people don't understand is that that young person standing there hasn't got anything else to do, and they haven't got hope. They don't really believe in the future. They don't know that there's a place for them out there. They don't know even how to start. And it's not that hard to point them in the right direction and give them the help that they need to get there. It's not that hard. There just don't seem to be the resources to reach these people. And I don't think that there's an understanding of how simple it can be.
Judy Stewart wants to see a new generation of farmers. Her future farmers come from poor and rural communities. They are passionate and they want to step up. Judy carefully selects them and offers them the opportunity to acquire top-class farming experience. When Judy started her program, it was easy to find black labour within the farming communities, but not a black manager. This has started to change. Nsikalelo is in charge of more than 1,400 cows and the smooth operation of the Carclough dairy. While Batman successfully manages more than 3,400 cattle and 4,000 sheep. Part of Judy's program is an internship abroad. This way, the young farm managers-to-be are able to grow in a way they couldn't in South Africa due to their background.
It's actually good to just go somewhere else in the world and just have a look there and come back and see the perspective of life differently. And they've really changed my life and my way of thinking also towards the future.
It's providing a good platform for someone with the potential like that. It's fantastic. Without future farmers, Matt wouldn't have been given the opportunity to come and farm with us, and I can just see how his experience has grown from the time that he started until now. He's now a very experienced manager.
Yeah, you have to have the opportunity and you need mentorship, and the mentorship that they need is not mentorship in farming or whatever industry it is. The mentorship they need is soft skill mentoring, where they need to understand that being on time for work is important. If you have a weekend off, you come back the day that you're supposed to come back. You know, that you take the trouble to get on with the people that you're working with, that you're respectful, that you're committed. And all that falls into place if you love your work.
Love, passion, expression of what you're doing it. I think that's the most important thing, because you may say, I love this job, I love these flowers, but without for the way you behave or respect, I think you may not afford to carry on with that job.
Passion is the key. Passion and really just a good learning attitude.
Passion drives you. No matter how tired you can be, it's passion is what drives you. And I think I have that passion, something that I would not compromise on.
I believe that South Africa's youth is its most valuable resource. I also believe that we're wasting it. It's more valuable than any of the gold or diamonds or platinum or the amazing things that this country has produced. We have incredibly talented young people who are not getting a chance to show what they can do.
When people have a clear vision and are passionate about making a change, they can become an unstoppable driving force.
It's installing all these basic traditions of participation, of being part of a family, but also of dreaming, of communicating, not fighting, but talking to each other. I do believe that our centers are little bubbles within a community that are creating a new culture, a culture of citizenship, of democracy.
Power doesn't make the world. It's the humanity that makes the world. And the children are the source, the beginning point of humanity. If we give them good environment, good knowledge, good skill, they are the future of the world.
We believe strongly that psychosocial support and mental well-being is critical for every human being. And it's good to start early and starting with the children.
I've changed hundreds of thousands of lives, and my dream is just to carry on doing that for the next 29 years. It's the most inspiring job when you can change someone's life and give them opportunity. There's nothing better in this world.
I feel it's a crime if a child does not discover the love of reading, because through the love of reading, the child will discover his or her inner potential and the outer potential of what he or she can do around the world.
Look at the young people everywhere. They care about refugee crisis more than another generation in history. And they are connected. So I feel like we have to look at good and bad at the same time. And without feeling that sense of optimism for future, it will be very hard to change anything. So I'm very hopeful in that sense. I believe that we can do better and we will do better.
I don't think society can expect young people in communities that are excluded, abused, under-resourced, and often treated very violently to be responsible members of citizen unless society takes the first step and starts investing, supporting, and giving young people the hand up that they need.
We don't think we will bring a buddy or other form of help to every vulnerable child, but if we can bring it to a few more, and if we can put all the love we got at home and all the amazing education and experience we had, and to put it to a good cause, then it's good.
Africa is going to play a bigger part of the world. By the end of the century, 50% of youth will be African. And so I think it's a really important time to lay the foundation for this next generation to have the skills for tomorrow.
Future Farmers did not start because I felt that agriculture needed it or that there was any technical reason for doing it. I started it because I really care about the young people and I wanted to help them, and they mean so much to me. I really love these kids.